Hey everybody, it's Sherry, and I wanted to share my story about self development, my journey, what led me there, and how I'm doing now with it. So let's get into it. Um, I want to give you like the rundown from start to finish and break everything down into little pieces and like give you some animated story. But like all villain arcs start if you watch anime, it comes from the fact that I just could not stand my circumstance. I hated myself. I hated my environment. I hated everything around me. And all the time, I was in this victim mentality of like, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? Why is this my life? Like, why is this not happening to this person? Why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? And it just became a whole victim mentality cycle of like, this is like happening to me. Everything's happening to me. Like, why me? Why me? Why me? It wasn't until I decided to take responsibility for my actions, take responsibility for my reactions, take responsibility for things that were not even my fault or in my control, and accept that everything that I had seen around me and everything that I became and everything that I am and everything that I was all my fault and is all my fault. Because everything that you see around you, from the lip gloss that I've been putting on to your environment, to people, how people treat you, how you're perceived, how you look at yourself, all comes from you and is a projection of your internal world, how you see yourself. So when I decided, like, I don't like what I'm seeing, I don't like how I'm treated, I don't like how I feel, I don't like how I look, I don't like how I talk, I don't like how I sound, I don't like the way that I feel in my skin, I don't like all these kinds of things, my habits, my values, whatever I was doing, none of it was working to me. And I just was like, I'm done. So I decided to accept all of that as my fault. And I really want to emphasize, even the things that were not my fault, things completely out of my control, I decided it was my fault because that gave me control. That gave me a narrative to be like, this is something I can change, And for example, I'm very aware you cannot control other people, you cannot control things outside of yourself. But in my own head, deciding that the way somebody was treating me or the way like I was being spoken to was my fault, reframed it in a way that I had control over that. So if somebody is speaking to me in a way that I don't like or think is disrespectful, I have the power to change that situation, whether that be like to remove myself, change my reaction, or decide I'm no longer reacting. So I just took all of that and was like, yep, so I don't like this. I don't like any of these factors, and I'm changing all of it. And it was not an overnight thing. It is a constant rewiring and constant thing that even to this day, I always am working on my self-development. Like, I'm always working on improving. But it all starts, if there's all these factors and things in your life that you want to change, and you're like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how to start. The first thing I recommend that helped me is, I don't know what to pursue and I don't know what to do first, but the only thing you can ever really control is yourself. So I started with myself, and I started with my mindset, because even more so than like your physical and outward appearance, I started thinking to myself, how can I reframe and change the way that I think and change the way that I see things and react and perceive to produce outcomes, or at least shift my outcome, or shift my perception of things in a way to favor the person that I want to become, the highest version of myself. So instead of waking up, later and complaining, or just even thinking about things and complaining all the time, because I used to be a serial complainer. everything that I didn't like, things that weren't comfortable. I just like complained all the time. Like wake up, complain, this complain, this complain, that complain. Like it's just 24/7 nonstop complaining. And you know what? If you're in a situation where you are valid in your feelings, like things are just left and right, you feel like you deserve better, you're doing more, like nothing is reflecting how you feel in your head, and like you deserve more. Complaining might make you feel good for 2 seconds, but even just spending energy on that is like putting your energy in the wrong vehicle. When there is something that happens to you that you think like, oh, this isn't the best situation, like I deserve more. Literally just stop for a second, take a deep breath, get a drink of water, and just be like, okay, how can I put my energy towards something that produces an outcome in my favor? How can I be more productive with my energy? And just do not react to that. Even any kind of reaction that you give to something, even when you react to a text and you notice either, your body changing, whether it's a positive or negative, you're smiling, you're upset, you're confused, like that is energy that you're pouring into that. So when you can reframe things in a positive way, or at least try so hard to frame it in a way where it's like, this isn't really like something I want to do, or this maybe doesn't like feel the best right now. Like I'm going to continue to just work on things that I can control and, try to find the positive. And that really, as cringy as it can sound to everybody on the internet, it is one of the best things you can do for your brain. It's actually like a muscle, like discipline and reframing things in your brain, like trying to find positives and reframing situations and like really taking control of your energy and your reactions and your emotions is like a muscle. Just like when you go to the gym, and I love the gym, when you go to the gym and you're working out and you're training or you're trying to get toned or whatever it is, like, and you're trying to like become more fit, more lean, whatever, or even just like your eating habits, like these are things that you need to work on day in and day out. And you can't be hard on yourself when you're not perfect the first time, or you're trying, even if you just get to the point of like reframing 1 to 2 negative thoughts each day, that is a huge step in the right direction. A lot of people don't see it like that. So yeah, I know it took a lot of work, and I'm constantly still like working on myself and have a long way to go. Like I don't think that I'm at like peak or anything like that, but yeah, like just even that simple reframing and just accepting that everything is your fault, regardless of if it's your fault, your control or not. You now have control when you've reframed things to be your fault. And if you don't like something about yourself, go take an action to change that. And where does the most growth happen? Not when you're like, oh, I'm comfortable, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. No, if you don't like something, you actually need to change. And not just, it all starts with, of course, recognizing what needs to change, but more so than recognizing, deciding and taking action. Something that really helps if you have trouble in that, action piece, whether it be because you're nervous or you're scared or, you have fear, what really helps is writing it down. And I highly recommend everybody to journal. And whether, your journal entries, I used to like really just not be great at it. I did not like to sit there and write my thoughts, but even if it's just listing out like 3 things you're grateful for, even if it's just writing down an idea or, things that upset you, just like get it on the page, right? Like that way of just like getting it out there, writing out what you want to change is literally half of like, it's already putting your brain in the process of, I'm writing this down, like it's on paper, I can see it in front of me. Like now start writing things you can do to work on that. And it can start small, little action steps. Maybe you're waking up an hour earlier each day so that you have more time to read or go to the gym. Maybe you are switching your milk in your coffee, or you're going for a healthier sweetener, whatever these things are, or reading one extra chapter a day or one page a day, or learning a skill, or whatever it is, like taking a little action steps each day, that's all it is. One thing that they, if you're financially literate, or if you're learning on becoming financially literate, or something that they teach you about financial literacy, something that you will hear all the time in life, or that maybe this is your first time hearing it, it's the power of compounding. Now, I didn't hear about this term until, I heard of it, but I didn't really know what it meant. Basically, it means just the power of mini actions constantly. I guess that's just a very simple way that I would break it down for myself in the past to understand. It's just the power that mini action steps have, mini action steps that add up. So think about it. When you are in money, when you're saving up for something or you're investing, it's the power of continuing to add, or it's also just I don't actually, maybe am I saying that wrong? It's adding over time. It's over time, doing things over time. Does that make sense? I don't want anybody to be that's not what that means, but I'm definitely not a financial advisor or anything like that. So just take it how it resonates. But anyways, back to what I am speaking on, self-development, many action steps over time, and taking that 1% every day, no matter how small that little action is to get to that goal, you will notice a difference in time. And it took those little action steps in multiple areas of my life to get to certain milestones or certain points. You know how many times I've changed my gym routine and eating habits and, reframed my mindset to adapt to situations and to kind of adapt to discomfort? Multiple times. Something a lot of successful people put in place in their lives is systems. They create systems and they set systems in place to kind of not guarantee, but kind of, ensure that they show up for themselves or ensure that things are working for them. So they put systems in place, whether that be a structured morning routine, a structured evening routine, whether that be a schedule, a meticulous planner, a meticulous, calendar, so that they make sure that they're hitting certain targets and doing little things daily that they need to do to progress closer to their goals. So when you're taking those little action steps daily to work towards those things, they add up and compound. But sometimes, depending on life, you can't always predict anything. I truly believe 90% of life is how you react to it. 10% is what happens to you. So with that being said, there's so many things that go on that you cannot control, right? But you can control how you react. So when a system is no longer working, or a system doesn't match what's kind of happening around, and you need to adapt and change things, change the system a little bit, whether that be temporarily for a certain time to match up to your goal. If you already have a system and something's not working, there's so much power and so much confidence and control that comes in to being I'm going to go change that because it's not serving me in this time right now. For example, I will just give a recent one. I was eating so many sweet potatoes because I love sweet potatoes, okay? I have a little hyperfixation on things that I enjoy. For example, if I love a coffee order, I'm getting that coffee order all the time. I love it. That's my coffee order until I'm sick of it. If it's a food, if it's a fruit, if it's a song, I'm listening to it till I'm tired of it. But that doesn't always serve you in the best ways, because when I was eating, maybe way too many sweet potatoes, at the same time, with my gym routine and eating habits, I like to eat a high protein diet, when I say diet, I mean like lifestyle. I live a high, like I prefer to have and consume high protein. So yeah, high protein and tons of sweet potatoes, not a recipe for leaning out, being lean and toned and fit. That is like honestly the opposite, which I didn't even realize I was doing. I noticed myself being a little bit inflamed, feeling a little bit more, tired and just like not feeling my best self. And I was wondering like, what's happening here? I'm eating like, my ground beef, like I'm being high protein, I'm working out, I'm like eating clean, I'm doing the right things, drinking enough water, like what's going on here? And then I realized, girl, you're eating like 2 to 3 sweet potatoes on the daily. Like, you're doing the opposite of what you're not reaching that goal. Like you had the right intention. Like sweet potatoes are a whole food, they're healthy, you're eating them great, like you're cooking them well. Like it's not the food, it's not the gym, it's the fact that you're literally eating so many sweet potatoes. Like you're carb loading by accident. And so when it clicked to me, I loved sweet potatoes, had the best intention for that potato. Just like clicked to me, girl, no more potatoes for a while because, you love it. It's just like really not serving you in this moment. And I had to change the system around. I did, get rid of that or reduce it. And so there's nothing wrong with changing those systems. But back to just the fact that like, I really did not like myself. I hated myself. I hated my environment. I hated who I was around. I hated just all of it. I just hated everything in my life. And when you do something out of hatred, okay, listen up, listen close. It's not sustainable. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, it will work and it's a good fuel. It's a good tool to use. Like, and hate is a strong word, and I don't like to say hate willy-nilly and just like throwing it out there and just like being like, I hate. No, I definitely don't say things like that. When you dislike strongly and have this like deep sense of like, I literally can't stand myself, I can't stand anything, that feeling, use that as like a fuel. But they do say that love and hate have a very thin line. And there's a reason for that. Because as I continued to go through this journey, and as I continue to go through this journey, I've noticed myself, and I hit this point, you can see on my YouTube channel, there's a video called I'm a Full Metal Alchemist, go watch it, where I reached a point of like really complete burnout. And complete and like genuine burnout. And like, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And that the reason, besides all the external things I had going on and things I was working on and just being busy, was the fact that I couldn't stand on that hate anymore. I was tired. I started like resisting my routine, my discipline, because it was, the foundation was fueled, like, because I didn't let that foundation transmute and evolve into love. I didn't accept it. I couldn't come to terms with the fact that I don't hate myself. And the reason that I decided to even go through this whole transformation in the first place is because I want to love, and I'm learning, and I love myself. And I really just, that process from like that fuel, that kind of just like that thing that lifted me off the ground and propelled me forward, it's allowed to change into something that you love. And as I continue to go through this journey, I love my routine, and I do these things and set these systems in place because I love myself, and I value myself, and I value my environment. I value, my knowledge. I value my life. You know what I mean? And so the systems that were built on this foundation, whatever it is that you need is your foundation to get you off the ground and move and do something, use it, but accept it. When it gets to that point where you realize like you're doing this because you want more for yourself, because you deserve more for yourself, because you love yourself, and showing yourself that you love yourself is showing respect to yourself, is eating clean, is waking up early, is going to the gym or moving your body or whatever these things are. These are just my things that I do that show myself I love myself. But whatever it is for you, use that and accept it as love. And just, you'll get to that point where it becomes less of like, where it becomes that resistance. You need to just accept it, let go, and realize like, this is not hate. This is actually love. And I love my routine, and I love what I'm doing, and I love the person I'm becoming. And, from that, it really opened my eyes. And I started really just like allowing something, because when you do something with that like negative, whatever to push you forward, it works for a little bit. We need sometimes in life those negative emotions, that anger, that, whatever, it pushes you, it moves you, it makes change, it does something, it creates a ripple effect. Like, it needs to happen sometimes in people's lives. That moment where it clicks to you, like, I can't keep doing this anymore. This life is not serving me. Like, I need a change, and it gets you forward. But that's not what sustains it. What sustains it is the acceptance and the love and the centering it around something that you are passionate about, that you know that you care about yourself, and that you do the things you do because you respect yourself. And when you do things out of respect and love, that's what can sustain and keep you going and evolve with you through different phases of your life and through your journey in developing. Whatever that looks like, whatever self-development journey that you go on, or whatever it is, it doesn't need to be the eating clean, working out, changing your environment. It could be whatever in your life that you feel needs a change, or that you want to change, or that you are looking into. But just know that, if I think that, like, knowing and accepting early on that it is because you love yourself, instead of like just being so mean to yourself all the time, like, that works to a point if you want to go that route. Like, I was the kind of person where I'd be on the stairs and I'm like, I'm a stairmaster at the gym, like, I would listen to like David Goggins audios, or like, I would just amp myself up and like get to the gym and be mean to myself and talk down on myself. And like, that can work short term, but long term it's not sustainable, because it does have a negative impact on how you see yourself and how you move through the world. But really, just my development is rooted in just the fact that I love myself, and I care about myself, and that I actually, everything that I hated about myself, or hated or disliked severely, I wanted to change because I cared for myself enough to. And that realization, it opens your eyes to a whole new like field, or expansive like part of self-development, more spiritual, more lighter side of things. But yeah, like, understanding that changed my life. And if there's one thing 23 minutes and 16 seconds into this video that you take away, I want you to understand that, you can change once you accept responsibility. Things will change once you accept that it's your fault, even what's not your fault. And that in that itself, letting go, just accepting, and just like, because there's that ego piece, right? Like, if something's not your fault, if somebody does something to you and it's wrong, you're thinking to yourself, like, it's not even my fault. Like your ego is like involved, being like, that's not even my fault. I didn't even do that. Like, why am I taking the blame, right? Like, if you're taking the fall for somebody else and it's not your fault, and you're taking like the negative end of the stick, you're like, ugh, why me? Like, I'm not claiming that. But in this process of accepting, it actually is your fault. Everything that you see on the external is just a reflection of your inside looking out. It's just a mirror to your internal world. And if you accept everything as your fault and decide to do that work, and obviously when I say that, it's within context, of course. There are a lot of really terrible things that are out of people's control that I really would not want them to take on as themselves, right? Like please take it as it resonates, especially when it comes to like changing your physical being, or like, you know, things in your control, essentially. But even just deciding to take, like, this is what I did, this is my personal experience, but like just deciding that you are going to accept things, and maybe not like, you know, saying it's your fault, but just like coming to the acceptance, I mean, of the fact that like you are accepting things you can't control. You are reframing things to where you are in control. You are trying to control your controllables, and you are that person who's wants to do the work to change. Like, that piece is crucial because it allows you to just remove that ego from the situation to take the necessary actions. You know, if you want to go to the gym and you have never been to the gym before, it can be extremely intimidating and scary to go to the gym as somebody who doesn't know anything about the machines. You know, you don't really know about the memberships, you don't know what to wear, you don't even know workout clothes. Like, just imagine like a completely new change. And to see people at the gym when you're like, you don't know what's going on, see people already have the dream body, the dream physique, you know, they put in the work, and you're just like, I don't even know what world I'm entering into. That is, and like the preventing of that is just like a whole ego thing. And in change, there's like an ego piece of accepting that you want to change, accepting that things are what they are, whether they're your fault or not, but the fact that like you need to take action in some way to get a change to happen. And so really just that's a key piece, is that acceptance. And if you want to change something about your life, you know, you can't say, oh, it just starts with taking action, but it really starts in the mind and the heart. And you know, I want you to know that I love you and thank you for listening. And I hope this resonated with somebody who needed to hear it today. And I hope that anybody else on their self-development journey can relate to mine in a way, or can relate to some of the things I'm talking about in this process. And feel free to please leave a comment if you relate, and just like and subscribe, and it would mean the world to me. I love you so much. Have a great rest of your day. If there's something in your life that you're going through, or that you're dealing with, or you're working towards, just know that you can do anything in this life, and dream big. And the only way out is through. I really am manifesting all the best for you. And thank you so much for your time.